you are going into the unknown. What's on the other side may know you're coming.
Let's have some fun. Here we go, ready?
Yes, sir.
FZ7! FZ7! Go, go, go! 1, 2-A! 1, 2-A! Hit! Miss, miss, miss. Hit! Good move! Fine!
Tucked into 140 acres in eastern New Hampshire, the Sig Sauer Academy is not your normal shooting facility because there are very few places like this across the country.
The Sig Academy is one of the premier firearms training facilities in the country for sure, if not in the world. Let's say you're a brand new firearms owner, you want to learn how to better protect your family, yourself, your home, check, you can get that done here. Let's say you're law enforcement, military, you want to up your skill set to stay on top of your game, well check, you can get that done here too. Or let's say you're a longtime shooter who wants to expand your horizons. Maybe you want to get into competitive shooting a little bit. There are courses here for that too. So no matter what you want to do with a firearm, no matter how you want to better improve yourself, both physically behind the gun and mentally, you can get all that done right here at Sig's Academy.
The Sig Academy offers the very best in self-defense, firearms, and tactical training. And even though it is not a public shooting range, more than half of the classes offered are open to responsible citizens.
We train anyone from Joe and Jane Public, someone who's never touched a gun before in their life, towards on the other extreme end of this perspective, we're teaching and training with the elite special forces units from all around the world.
Started in 1993 with just a couple of options, the Academy now features almost 30 different ranges for shooters to learn and improve.
So this is our live fire shoot house. We use it for a number of different classes. For law enforcement military teams. We also use it on the civilian side of the house for our force-on-force training and also our doorways and corners classes. It's a great opportunity for students to get kind of outside that flat range environment again and get some real life training.
You know, taking things slow it down a little bit, because everyone sees all these movies where they're busting through doorways, explosions everywhere, and that might work for some people, but for others, like your typical home defender, that might not necessarily work, where you want to work more on the ninja side of things. So you take things nice and slowly, very quietly, work in the shadows, that type of thing. Work as much of the room from the outside before you get inside the room, that type of thing. So really just kind of putting the tactics more on your side. I got the suppressed Virtus, 3 blackout, 6 3/4 barrel. I'll be running for this exercise here. Only wearing ear pro because Hannah doesn't have a cam on, so.
Good.
Clear?
Clear.
People like our training. We tend to attack things from a different mindset here. We don't tend to teach the way of doing things. It's not our way or the highway. It's more of a we'll teach you several different ways of getting one task done, because there's many different highways to get to the same destination. So depending on body structure, attitude, the way people see things, different techniques might suit different people. So we'll give you a couple of different ways of getting something done, and we'll have you try them all out. We'll give you a little bit of time to experiment down that and see what works best for you, and then find what works best for you and practice that a little bit more.
Coming up next.
We'll use this for anywhere from SWAT teams coming to use our facility to train. You want actual, hit a house with different levels, different rooms, angles, things like that. They can do that. And then also, we use this house for our force-on-force classes for the average citizen.
This is Modern Shooter. Modern Shooter is brought to you by Aguila Ammunition. Feed your firearm. By H&H Precision Rifles, engineering precision rifles and components for the world's most demanding shooters. Sig Sauer Electro-Optics, see the difference. By Security, intelligent firearm storage. By Gun Digest, we know guns, so you know guns. By Turnbull Restoration, specializing in the accurate restoration of historical metal finishes on period firearms. And by Benchmark Barrels, world-class accuracy made in the USA. There are training facilities across the country. And then there is the Sig Sauer Academy. Located in eastern New Hampshire, the Academy specializes in all facets of firearm training. And with nearly 30 ranges, the classes are designed for the beginner all the way to the military and law enforcement.
Good. Good.
We offer several different precision, long-range precision classes in which we have the capability of shooting 100, 200, 300, 550, 650, 750, and 1,000 yards. So up in the New England area, there's not much availability for being able to shoot 1,000 yards. So we have that capability for our students. And that's not just law enforcement or military. That's the responsible citizen. They can come here and take those classes as well. And learn how to put a round in a specific little spot from 1,000 yards away, 10 football fields away. It's pretty cool. So pretty rewarding, as you can imagine, when they do that successfully. All right, so you saw with the last segment we did, we were at the shoot house, and I had a 6 3/4 inch blackout barrel with a can on there. And in between, about 2 minutes it took, I just swapped out to the 16 inch 5.56 barrel here and changed out handguards. So now we are set up for a little bit of long range shooting, a little bit more muzzle velocity here at the longer barrel. We have the new Juliet magnifier on here. We're going to run that with our Romeo 4T and get some rounds on target on some steel. I like shooting steel. It's fun, get that instant gratification. And make some steel at 300. Let's do it.
At the Academy, everything is based off the fundamentals of shooting. From there, they offer classes that train shooters for different situations.
We'll use this for anywhere from SWAT teams coming to use our facility to train. You want actual, hit a house with different levels, different rooms, angles, things like that. They can do that. And then also, we use this house for our force and force classes for the average citizen who wants to protect their home, protect their family.
Perfect.
It's kind of neat, yeah.
Yeah, let's walk through some of the basics, how to maneuver corners, the simple stuff, because I think there are a lot of folks out there who now have a handgun for home defense. How do I negotiate stairs, different types of stairs, corners, just the basics.
Yeah,
walk me through each one of those, we can pass that on.
So in this particular situation, I know my kid's room is in this direction over here.
Yep.
So I want to clear as much as I possibly can, kind of hastily, but again, still quiet and keeping the element of surprise. So I'm going to work my way very cautiously, keeping that gun compressed. And once I know I can get to my kid's room safely, I'll do that again. I might not blow into my kid's room, of course. Depends on how old my kids are. The situation dictates, They don't want to run into my kid's room with a gun in my hand, that type of thing. I might freak them out, but, I might want to announce myself real quick to my kids quietly, softly, hey, I'm coming in, that type of thing. I don't know about you, but me, my kids, my wife, we have a game plan. If they see me coming into a room and I have a firearm in my hand and they know something's up, we've kind of gotten them prepared for that. Not paranoia, but prepared.
No, of course.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely right.
So I'll make my way into the kids' room, and then for the most part, what I'll do is I'll hunker down, I'll barricade the door the best I possibly can, make sure they're safe, get on that phone or stay on the phone with the police and tell them exactly what's going down, give them the full details, and just wait. Wait for the police to get in, tell them how to get in the house, and do their job.
Coming up next.
GFA! Sig Sauer MCX Virtus, man.
This is Modern Shooter.
I've seen a lot of shooters who fall into that rut, who think that black guns are black guns through and through. And not just talking about color, I'm talking about an AR is an AR and they're all the same. When you fall into that rut, the next thing you know, the only thing that becomes important to you is price. And if you become focused on price, you're missing out on a lot of really, really cool features, especially when you've got a gun that sets itself apart from the crowd. Cav, I've got one of these guns. We've got one of these guns sitting right here in front of us. Tell me a little bit more about this firearm right here.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, I'm not putting a price on my safety, my family's safety, etc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is pretty damn well priced, I'd say, for the consumers out there. And then plus what you can do is just get some extra barrels instead of getting a whole new upper. And just at the price of maybe just another extra $300, you have an entire new gun, whereas you would have to buy an entire new upper.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, the MCX Virtus right here is essentially an AR hybrid or an AR on steroids, correct?
Oh yeah, for the most part, yeah. We like to, so any red-blooded American, meat-eating American, you know, who has shot an AR-15 in their past somewhere. So we wanted to keep the familiarity of the feeling, the buttons, knobs, and levers, and all that jazz to keep it comfortable for the American. However, make the system different and work a little bit more reliably.
So it functions exactly the same. I think that's important to note. But everything else you can do to really build this up yourself to your own specific mission, whether that's, moose hunting or defending your home, you can customize to fit your needs and your wants.
Absolutely, at a minimal price, so super easily adaptable from one mission to another, whether you're the hunter out there, you're the defensive shooter, you want to set yourself one of these for home defense, whether you're the recreational shooter or you're a competitive shooter, there's basically a setup just for you, and it's easily changeable with minimal tools.
And minimal tools.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of this, essentially all you need to do to break this gun down and rebuild it to your new configuration is you need one tool and a lap, and you can do it all in the field, right?
Yeah, for the most part, any T27 bit is all you really need. You can pick one of these up at any hardware store out there.
Sure.
We all have them, I'm sure, in our truck laying in the floor bed somewhere, you know what I mean? So with a single tool, T27, I can change the barrel, I can change the stock to any one of these number of stocks here, and it's all mission specific. All I do is simply pull out this pivot pin, and my handguard comes off just that easily.
And it's done.
Yeah, toolless. So pretty neat. And what's neat about, again, the pin, like your typical ARs, is that pin's retained, so you're not going to lose it out in the field.
I'm not going to fat finger it and drop it in the muck. I like it. I like it.
Right. Change out the barrel. All we do is we convert this right over, and we see these two screws, T27 screws. So all I'm going to do is take my screwdriver. All I do is loosen these up to completely loosen position. And again, just like the pivot pin, these two screws are retained as well, along with the clamping system.
So I can't lose them.
No doubt. Yeah.
That's
pretty
jackpot,
nice.
man.
And no matter where you are on the field or in your, in your man cave, whatever it is, you're not going to lose these parts. They've got a big old shag carpet in your man cave. You're not going to have to worry about losing these parts. So all I do is loosen those completely, grab the barrel, pluck it off. How easy was that?
Very simple.
Sick, right? So let's say, again, maybe I want to set this up for home defense. So I've got a 300 blackout, 6 3/4 inch barrel with a can on there, with one of our cans, titanium. All I'm going to do is slip this right in its place, drop it on, make sure it's nice and secure. What's also cool about this too is, if you swap out a barrel on your AR, you got to do headspace checks, things like that.
Yes.
With this, you don't need to do that because all their barrels are already headspace checked about 3 or 4 times before they actually leave the factory. So it's pretty neat. You don't have to worry about that. It's a nice, calm, cool, relieving factor for me anyway. So all I do is make sure that barrel's fully seated in place. Take my screwdriver, tighten these down. And I know you're not an idiot. I'm not an idiot, but we make this idiot-proof. So we put numbers on here, 1 and 2. What do you think that means?
That's golden. That means that I start with number 1.
Yep.
When I've got fat, cold fingers or in a high-stress situation, I know to go to number 1, go to number 2, and I'm done.
And that's actually by design. So what that number 1 does is that number 1 actually grabs the barrel and pulls it in close and nice and tight into the upper receiver. And then we crank down lug number 2. What that does is kind of hug the barrel for that ultimate accuracy. To change out your stock, the exact same tool, T27. All I do is grab that, turn and burn on that screw. And you can see that comes off pretty damn easy, right?
That's fantastic.
We've got a 1913 rail back here. So any of the other stocks we have available here will have that. This is the stock that used to come stock with the, used to come stock with the rifle. So all you do is say, I prefer this one because it's very lightweight, skeletonized. All I do is just slide that right on there. Make sure it's all lined up before I torque that screw down. And then turn and burn on that screw.
And when you say lined up, again, it's simple. There's a little groove in the end of that stock, right, that aligns with on the groove in the back of the receiver.
That's exactly right.
Got
so
it.
if you look at this groove, it just looks nice. It looks like it's supposed to be that way. You really can't get it wrong.
And there's actually a function to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I could only have one gun for the rest of my life, and this is me talking, this isn't Sig Cav, this is
Okay.
Cav. If I can only have one gun for the rest of my life, it would be this gun. I mean, I own 3 of my own personally owned MCXs, so if that says anything. I definitely have a lot of trust in this firearm.
That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah, no doubt.
And with that said, can I shoot it again?
Duh.
All right, let's do it.
Coming up next, a look at some of the best over-under shotguns on the market today.
So there's just a lot of things on it that make it substantial. It's built to be shot.
Plus, tips from our pros to help improve your scores on the range. This is Modern Shooter. Modern Shooter is brought to you by Aguila Ammunition. Feed your firearm. By H&H Precision Rifles. Engineering precision rifles and components for the world's most demanding shooters. Sig Sauer Electro-Optics. See the difference. By Gun Digest. We know guns, so you know guns. By Turnbull Restoration, specializing in the accurate restoration of historical metal finishes on period firearms. And by Benchmark Barrels. World-class accuracy made in the USA.
Pull.
Good shooting, man. I'll tell you what, dude, you run a shotgun, and over-under specifically, better than anybody I've ever seen. Of course, you got the world record to prove it. But I've got a question, right? As a guy who dabbles in upland hunting and a lot of sporting clay stuff, outside of some aesthetics, over-unders to me seem very similar, right? They look a lot alike. So if you would break down, get into the guts, whatever you want to do, what separates a very good over-under from a great one?
Great point, Luke. That's a great question. So in my hand is the CZ All-American. And the differences between this gun and just a standard field gun is obviously adjustable butt plate. As you can see, I've got this thing turned a little bit. It also changes in length of pull. Target guns typically have adjustable four-way combs like this one.
Yep.
So I can make it go up, left, or right for fit. Okay. It has a mechanical trigger system. This one has a raised rib, typically not found in a field gun. Ported barrels and extended choke tubes. This gun also has a lot of replaceable parts that are drop-in. So after 200,000 rounds, if I need to tighten up the locking lug into the monoblock, there's 3 different sizes of locking lugs that bite into this monoblock to keep the gun action tight. So there's just a lot of things on it that make it substantial. It's built to be shot. It's got adjustable trigger position, a lot of things for fit, lots of characteristics for longevity.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is it better as a guy who wants kind of one do-all gun, right? As an upland gun or sporting gun versus a field gun, is it better to get a designated field gun that crosses over into sporting, or vice versa?
To shoot sporting clays, you just don't need a fancy target gun. You can get away with shooting your regular field gun. But however, as you progress, it's like anything else, you want to move up and get the better equipment and, thinking it's going to add more targets to your score sheet, when really it's not, but it's all about who's swinging the gun, right? But as far as shooting field guns in sporting clays, that works really well. What doesn't work so well is taking heavy target guns like this and taking them to the bird field, because this gun weighs 9.5 pounds and it's got 32-inch barrels.
Makes sense.
And it's got a lot of hardware, lots of things that make it cumbersome in the field. So
Gotcha.
field guns work on sporting clays. Target guns typically don't work so well in the field hunting birds.
Gotcha. So if I could sum all that up, pretty much run your practice right, and more important than anything else is get a gun that fits you.
That's right. Get a gun that fits, take some shooting lessons. Learn to shoot it.
Perfect.
As a training instructor, my husband and I work with a lot of new female shooters. And what I really want to recommend to them is that they come to classes with full-size guns. When you have a full-size gun, you can learn how to manipulate it easier, you learn the fundamentals easier, you're not struggling with it. What are some things you need to have? Make sure your hand fits in at the back strap. You can get high to the back strap. You might need to change out to a different size. Also, make sure you can manipulate the gun by locking it to the rear. That's part of clearing a gun. You have to know how to do those things. So regardless of what somebody tells you you should bring to a class or you should be shooting, find the gun that fits you.
As an instructor, I've found that people have different needs, especially new shooters. Men, women, kids, doesn't matter. They may be very sensitive to recoil and sound. Aguila has introduced this new shell that is 5/8 of an ounce of number 7.5. It's 1 3/4 inches long. You can see the comparison between a regular shell, regular 2 3/4 inch shell, 1 ounce load. That is called the mini shell, and it is softer, quieter, and breaks targets just as hard. Watch this. Pull. I couldn't tell a difference, but I could sure hear and feel a difference. That shell does not have any recoil, and they are just so much fun to shoot. All right, I'm gonna take another shot. Watch the gun on my shoulder. Pull. Okay, that's a full power shell. That's my favorite Aguila load right there. Now here is the mini shell. Watch my shoulder. Pull. Half the noise, 25% of the amount of recoil, and I hit that target harder with the mini shell than I did my other shell. This thing works. But for those who want something good for self-defense, or having fun on the range with something that's really, really fun to shoot, we have the buckshot load and we have the slug load. Same size, same mini shell. The mini shell may be small, but the performance, it's huge.
Be sure to check out Modern Shooter and Gun Digest online and on Facebook.